At least half of mothers experience the baby blues, but postnatal depression is a much more debilitating issue.
I just remember kind of giving Oscar his food and like with tears down my face.
And I started hallucinating quite badly.
How do you recognise the symptoms? And what treatment options are available? We're talking to two women who have suffered from postnatal depression and want to share their experiences. Let's have a chat. So it's quite a tough subject today we're dealing with. It's something you've both been through. So why don't we start with you? Why don't you tell us what was your experience?
Well, yeah, it was unexpected really. I'm a psychotherapist, so I've spent years kind of learning and working with depression. First pregnancy, first time of having a newborn, really loved it. So I kind of expected that second time around it would be the same story. But it just absolutely wasn't. I was completely flawed. I just tried to sort it out myself, so I just kept trying to kind of plod on and plod on. And it just got to a point where I just remember kind of giving Oscar his food and like with tears down my face, like ringing my husband going, I just can't do this. And there was a turning point for me really when I realised that I just couldn't do it.
Was it a particular moment or an instant or...?
I'd gone to the GP, he asked me the questions of, do you feel like it's affecting your kind of relationship with your baby? I was like, yes, I don't like him. He doesn't like me, the feeling's mutual. And that was really, really hard to say. But it was my truth. I'd thought things and had visions of things in my mind that just really kind of shocked me. And I think knowing what I know with my work, I had just thought that I had failed myself. Like I had the knowledge, I've helped people through this, therefore I should...
You've got all the answers.
Yeah, I should just sort it out. I should be able to do this. So I felt like a failure on so many levels.
I had it with my first son. We moved out of London when I was 8 months pregnant to a town where I didn't know anyone. And the birth was quite traumatic. And then after that, we were in hospital for a few days because we both had infections from birth. And I didn't sleep for about 5 nights. And I started hallucinating quite badly. At one point, the baby told me to change its nappy. That's how.
I mean, that is very advanced. So mine were doing that, but not till about 10 days,
I was completely discombobulated. It felt like I'd been plunged underwater by everything I'd experienced during the birth. And then after that, my mood just didn't pick up at all. I just felt like everything was on top of me. So I was looking at everything through a certain lens, was very, very negative. Every time somebody else picked up the baby, I thought, oh, they're doing it so much better than I am. There were thoughts like, I shouldn't be here. And I'd see other mums walking around, I'd go, how are they coping? That woman's got lipstick on. How's she feeling like I'm feeling? But she's also got to the point where she's put lipstick on. So yeah, it was pretty intense.
Well, I think there's also maybe a confusion about what it is, because I mean, lots of us get to, I remember doing NCT and being told, 3 or 4 days after the baby's born, you'll get the baby blues and you'll just cry all day and, and then it will pass sort of thing. So I kind of knew to expect that. But then how do you know if what you're feeling is just that, or if it is something more, if it is postnatal depression? Yeah. I mean, you're a therapist.
I think when there's a relentlessness to it, when it kind of edges into a relentlessness, baby blues, you have kind of those moments of euphoria of like, I can't believe we made you, along with those dips of like, what have we done? And it's kind of that emotional feeling of being, it's that really hormonal. I get kind of little snatches of it when I get PNT. It's kind of that up and down. Whereas for me, when it kind of aired into postnatal depression, as I was seeing life through this lens, like you said, that kind of pallor, everything was dampened. Like any good experiences were just so tinged with this feeling of like failure and just wanting to run away.
I was writing stuff off, so I was like, oh, I'm tired. I would make all these excuses in my head for why I was feeling, how I was feeling. But really... And practically, the only way I could realise that something was up was just by counting how much of the day was spent down in the dumps.
Yeah.
My self-esteem went not just down the toilet, but into the U-bend, down into the plumbing.
Gone.
Completely gone. I was apologising for everything. it was spotted by a health visitor. She came round and I just kept apologising for everything and crying and then apologising for crying. That she kind of went, let's have a chat with your GP, maybe.
So did she say to you at that point, look, I think you might have postnatal depression?
Yes.
And how did you feel when she said that?
Well, I thought no, because I like my baby.
Yeah.
I've only been exposed to soap opera plot lines around postnatal depression, and I got it mixed up with postnatal psychosis. So I thought I was going to be like Stacey off EastEnders and stand at the top on the roof of the old Vic and shout at people dramatically, and I wasn't seeing any of that.
There are lots of blurred lines between what's depression and when does postnatal depression become depression. A lot of people say, am I postnatally depressed, or is it too late now? Am I depressed, or is this baby blues? And I think actually what the label does is enables us to get help.
Yeah.
Like if you're even questioning, do I have postnatal anxiety, postnatal depression, then that's enough of a reason to go and seek support. I just think the labels sometimes help, so we can take ownership of it and think, right, I've got this thing and now I need to do something.
My GP, my health visitor referred me to something that runs in my area called Craft Attack, which is a lottery funded scheme. But it's when I first heard about it, I thought, well, nope.
Go and sit with some pipe cleaners and
so we sit in a circle.
Oh, you do crafts
and a glue gun.
Yeah.
You don't attack crafts. I just
No,
had this
no.
idea of you taking an axe to some cross stitch.
You've got an aggressive mind. I was going down a pipe cleaner route.
Well, no, it was
Glitter.
I was thinking, well, they were like, we do crafts, and I was, well, I don't like crafts, and we're not very good at them, so no.
Yeah.
But I did think that we'd be all there, like dead-eyed on Thorazine, wearing orange jumpsuits and making baskets.
That sounds
While a Native American man swept in the corner. But it was a revelation. It was actually really good. It was just a bunch of women. They took our children and put them in creche.
I mean, that's half the battle, surely.
And then they put a box of Quality Street in the middle of the table.
Sign
made
me up.
us tea.
Oh, God.
And then just gave us like glitter and stuff. I made a Christmas wreath. A lady came in to show us how to do that kind of thing. But it wasn't about how, actually doing the crafts. It was about taking 2 hours a week away from your kids, someone making a cup of tea, eating some Quality Street with strangers. It was, for me, it was all I needed really, just to get just to get some perspective.
So you've both got partners who were around when you're going through all this. So kind of how did they, did they pick up on it?
Yeah, my husband definitely picked up on it. I mean, he would be the ones getting the SOS calls in meetings, and me going, I literally cannot do this. Just get through the day. And he would say, what, can I help? Can I stay with you? And I would tell him to F off. Because A, what the hell could he do? B, I was in such a vulnerable state, and I almost felt ashamed of him seeing me in that kind of like broken, hopeless position. So I was angry at this kind of approach of help, because I was like, well, he sees that he thinks I'm failing. When you have this kind of wall up of everything's okay here, please just look somewhere else. Oh, look, there's a lion over there. What can someone do? They can't make you go to the GP. I'm a grown adult. You can bundle me into the car. And I think there was a huge amount of relief when I did say to him, please come and be with me tonight, because I'm scared. Like, I don't know what I'll do. And I think that is when the help that is waiting on the wings can actually come and be husbands and come and be friends and can come and be mothers, because that's what love is about. It's about supporting and being supported. And I think that was a relief for people.
So what about you, Robyn? Did you have to ask for help, or was there a point where people around you were like, no, this is your, come on.
Come on now.
I honestly think that my partner probably had a little bit of it too. Not to make him sound awful, but I don't think he realised there was anything wrong either. I think we were both kind of in it. And he kind of thought, well, this is what it's like anyway, so we've just got to get through this bit. To be quite frank, I don't think he knew what to do. The decision to improve things came from me, and then when that happened, he supported me. And I think he was quite relieved, because I don't think he knew what to do. We've not had the conversation, to be quite frank, but I think he probably thought, something's up, I don't know what to do. But when I tackled it, he was right there. One piece of advice is, if you go to get help and you don't get the help you want, don't give up. You know, GPs are busy and you don't always have the best experience with some people. But I would just say, don't let that put you off. Go back, because your health is more important than someone else's officiousness.
What about medication? Can that be helpful?
Definitely, yes. Absolutely. And I think when you're feeling that desperate, and or even if you just, you notice the signs and you see yourself kind of slowly landsliding back down there, it's definitely worth speaking to a GP, because you don't want to kind of get all the way to the bottom before you hit that, oh my gosh, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. But ideally, if you start noticing the triggers and noticing the symptoms, then you can seek the things that have helped you before. And I'm glad you're carrying on seeing a therapist, because often we as soon as we start to feel better, we're like, okay, now I'm fine. Thank you very much. Nice seeing you, therapist. Like, maybe
get my Tuesday evenings back.
Yeah. Or you stop doing your yoga, or you stop talking to certain people because you think you're all right, when actually often they're the things that are getting you to that place of, I'm okay at the moment, and they're kind of holding us up a little bit, and we just then think that they're kind of surplus. Yeah. And we get rid of them, and then we wonder why, slowly over time, things can start changing and go. But medication, I always recommend that it's used alongside therapy, not instead of. Yeah, definitely.
All right. We're going to move on now to, we asked the internet for some tips on dealing with postnatal depression, because asking the internet, of course, always works out well. The internet knows everything.
Always got the answers.
Super helpful. So the internet's top tips were, the first one was tell friends and family. But I imagine that's quite hard to do if you're really in the hole, is it?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. Well, we've solved that one. Thank you. That's done. Tick.
It's good, but it's hard.
Yeah, because like what you were saying, for you, it would feel like an admission of failure to tell your friends. I mean, what are you going to go on Facebook and go, hi everyone, I've got postnatal depression.
Hi all. I kind of do on my Instagram these days, but for me, with every issue, kind of mental health wise, I've had the turning point has always been speaking to someone, because that's when you open up kind of opportunity for support, and that's really hard, and it is the hardest step.
Yeah. So according to the internet, if you've got postnatal depression, you should get plenty of rest, you should do exercise, you should get out and socialise, and you should avoid drink and drugs. Does that all sound like it makes sense to you?
No, you should have a glass of wine if you want one. Wow. Yeah. Maybe not drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the drug, but
maybe a Barocca, something like
that. Those are the hardest things to do, though, aren't they? Yeah. When you're feeling really low, like, go on a run.
Yeah. Or go and socialise.
Go and socialise.
Meet people you've never met before. Yeah. The only thing you've got in common
is the fact that you've just popped out of baby somehow.
And you're not allowed to have a drink to warm yourself up. There we go. Oh, great.
Don't stop at a pub on the way.
Whiskey in your squash. Being told to exercise or being told to go and socialise, we then think, right, I've got to go to the gym or I've got to go out for a coffee. But
there are so many... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just break it down. Make it really damn small, so small that it feels insignificant. If you don't feel like you can get the baby out and go out for coffee, have a little WhatsApp convo. Don't sign up to a gym. Do some stretches on your living room carpet.
Robyn, what have been your sort of coping strategies?
I always say go for a walk. Just because it change. All you have to do is put a coat on and get your baby out, which I know is quite a lot. But it changes your environment. You're breathing. The air you're breathing is different. If you make it your aim to just go and get a coffee. Buy a coffee, go and sit on a bench with your baby, you change your situation, you'll feel slightly different. And I think that has huge...
Yeah, and you feel like you've achieved... in those early days, that's an achievement. And it makes you feel good just because of the fact, right, I actually went out today. I used to make myself go out every single day, even if it was for 5 minutes. Yeah.
Well, there we go. Postnatal depression, of course, is a very difficult subject. If you would like to talk about it, do add something in the comments below. Thank you so much, Anna, and thank you, Robyn, for sharing your experiences today. And thank you for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.
you.